One thing beginning gardeners always love to do, and that's to scatter seed, perhaps start a wildflower garden. But there are some tricks to having successful germination of native wildflowers. You can't just plant by the calendar, you have to consider the weather. We talked with UC Davis wildflower expert Marina LaForgia about some tips and tricks for getting wildflowers started. How can gardeners increase the chances of germination of wildflower seeds?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to keep a relatively clean yard. And I know me personally, my yard can get covered with exotic plants that by the start of the next season, there's just thatch everywhere. And so clearing out that thatch and creating a nice layer of clear soil, or at least cleaning up the yard a little bit, will probably enhance the chances of germination. And also just sprinkling the seeds right on top of the soil is probably good enough. They don't really need to be buried. Some will get buried naturally and then they might germinate at a later date. But I think one of the most important things that I've personally found is to seed right before the start of a big cold rainstorm. Pretty often in September or early October, we might get these rains that are still kind of warm, but might not really be indicative of the onset of winter. And so you don't want to plant then because the seeds won't germinate, and then you're just kind of leaving this buffet of seeds out there for your birds or your ants or whatever granivore wants to come and eat them, and then you're just losing a whole bunch of seeds. So you want to plant right before the onset of the rains, and make sure you're doing it into a nice, clean soil area.
So that first big cold rainstorm might not be till November.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe people have been planting their wildflower gardens a little too early, because generally the common advice has always been sow them in fall. Well, maybe it should be modified to sow in mid to late fall.
Yeah, and I mean, the stronger the dormancy, the later they'll germinate too, very often. So a lot of the species might need a little bit of priming beforehand, which can get a little tricky because you want to put them out there so that they're exposed to that natural variation in temperature, because that might help break dormancy down over time. But you don't want them to be sitting out there for so long that they're just going to get carried away by a hungry ant. I've tried boiling legumes.
And how do they taste?
No, actually boiling them to break the seed coat and then planting them.
How long did you boil them for?
I think I didn't even really boil them. If you pour boiling water over them and just let them soak in boiling water for 5 to 10 minutes and then let them dry out again and put them out there, that could be one method to try. I got to be honest, I tried it with my field study I was doing also out at McLaughlin, and I didn't get very high germination. Another trick that people use is they use sandpaper. If you just put a bunch of lupin seeds between two pieces of sandpaper and just kind of scratch at the seeds, that can really help break the seed coat down to try and induce germination. But it's really, as long as you do something to break that seed coat, that'll really help ensure that they germinate.
And I imagine there's nothing wrong with overseeding wildflowers on a yearly basis.
I don't see anything wrong with that if you want to go for it. Just planting a variety of wildflowers, from the ones that are, more drought tolerant to less drought tolerant, and be patient with them. They might not show up this year, but they might show up next year.
We've been talking with Marina LaForgia. She's with the Plant Sciences Department at UC Davis, has been conducting a study on the drought tolerance of wildflower seeds, and it's amazing how much control those little seeds have to know when it's a drought year and to be able to sprout in a wet year. Marina, thanks for a few minutes of your time today.
Thank you.